My man.
All right.
Good morning.
There we go. I was waiting, like, we said goodbye like 4 times.
Yeah. Who you just on the phone with?
Jesse Jackson. So that was special. Reverend Jackson was talking about the history of Kentucky and, you know, history in black coal mining. Like, yeah, I mean, I've been part of something real special.
It's time for a new course, a new coalition, a new leadership. Reagan won the last time, not by genius. Reagan won when we were asleep. He won by the margin of despair. He won by the margin of the fracture of our coalition. He won by the margin of racial division. He won by default.
And then you have the Reverend Jesse Jackson in the 80s, not once, but twice. And he's talking about this rainbow coalition? Say what?
In 1984, Jackson made history simply by running. This year, Jackson is making history by winning. Winning the support, that is, of voters beyond his black base.
We couldn't have done it without Jesse.
And I think people are impressed with his courage, with his dynamism, with his willingness to articulate issues that are relevant to the disenfranchised, the poor people. 50% of the people in America have given up on the political process. They don't even vote. Who talks about those people?
That is about bringing working class people together, no matter how they identify, based on what they have in common. And what they have in common is the struggle. The class struggle brings people together.
The fact of the matter is that Jackson trying to convince, you know, the American people that he is something beyond just a black candidate and getting through the media coverage of him as a black candidate, it's like taking a rowboat up against the Nimitz. I mean, you know, the guy's got no shot.
I remember back in the 1980s, we went to Hazard, Kentucky, and we had a gathering in the Hazard gym. It was full, struggling generations of miners, poor people, and yet they were there to hear Jesse Jackson because a black man was able to talk with them about why they were poor and why mining had not made them wealthy.
There is hunger, considerable hunger in this part of the country. There's no real hope for the future amongst many of these people.
When I would see Charles in those places that had so much poverty, I was taken back to Robert Kennedy and his travels to eastern Kentucky and Appalachia, and that war on poverty that never seemed to really materialize.
A lot of the Democratic Party doesn't want to deal with the fact that Bernie Sanders beat the more conservative Hillary Clinton in rural Kentucky. We should have built on that. We should have said, well, let's look at an economic justice platform, a racial justice platform, and said, let's look for a candidate that represents that vision for Kentucky and build on it.
In fact, the most interesting question that modern American politics has ever seen, and will see, is will the 50% of the poor people, the working people, who are now not participating in the political process, who have given up, can Jackson get some of those people to jump in and say, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm poor, I got nothing, I can't pay my phone bill, I can't pay my health care bills, I'm gonna vote because Jesse Jackson is standing up for my rights. Can he begin to get to those people? I think he can.
I remember Reverend Jackson said, you know, when we're down in the mines and the lights go out, nobody can tell who's who, nobody can tell what color people are. It's not about erasing race, but it is about saying there's the potential to come together about what our families need, about the economic justice that all our families need.
Suffering breeds character. Character breeds faith. In the end, faith will not disappoint. You must not surrender. We must never surrender. America will get better and better. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive.
None of this stuff is new. The struggle continues, and every generation is charged with advancing. Justice is not a destination, and I know people get weary. It's not a destination, it's a journey.